Hey everyone, it's a D. Hope everyone's doing okay and that everyone had a good week. It's almost the weekend here. It's like 8 p.m. and I'm going to be going home right after I finish this to switch my husband so he can go for a run. We're trying this, stay fit thing. So today I wanted to talk to you about what is the most important and overlooked trait when it comes to job searching and when it comes to performing really, really well at your job. So there are lots of really important traits, but I think this was the most overlooked. So we all know, that when we're looking for a job, and especially when we're trying to transition careers, and when that transition is like a big transition up in terms of like requirements and intensity and kind of, what it's at least considered to be worth as it is in high tech, then you need a lot of confidence, in yourself and certainty that you're worth it. And this certainty in your self-worth, which I talked about in previous videos, and it is very important. And we also know that resourcefulness is an extremely important trait, because you need to be able to problem solve. Things are going to go wrong, and you're going to need to be able to find a creative solution to the problem. And you need to, even before you get the job, you're not going to have all the information that you need just handed to you in order to prepare, say, for an interview or a negotiation. You're going to need to get resourceful and find that information wherever it is. And so we know, right, confidence is important, resourcefulness is important, but those are not the traits that I wanted to talk about today. Somebody mentioned being able to learn quickly and like be a quick thinker. That's important too. Being able to pick things up quickly and kind of integrate yourself with the rhythm of a company, whatever that rhythm is. So yeah, that's definitely important, but it's not the trait that I wanted to talk about today. The trait that I wanted to discuss today, and it is very, very important, but so overlooked, and so many people miss it, is empathy. And I like to talk about this, especially with women seeking employment, because I think a lot of times, especially when we're trying to get into such a male-dominated industry like tech, we have this feeling of this like low-key inferiority complex, where we have to make up for whatever feminine shortcomings we might have. So, maybe we for whatever reason, we've been conditioned to like being too nice and too polite. And so we have to like counter that with like consciously like being a bit more assertive. And like towing the line between being assertive and being bossy and, all that stuff, which is really annoying. But there are also traits, and I'm going to use the word feminine, but that doesn't necessarily mean like belonging to only females. But if we have to like divide things into feminine and masculine, then I think empathy falls under that feminine side of things. And as such, it might be something that we reject in ourselves, whether or not it comes naturally to us. And I hope it comes naturally to you, not because you're a woman, but because you're a human being. And as such, empathy is a really, really great thing to have. Really, really great trait to have as a person. So this trait, and the reason that I believe it's overlooked is because it's considered a little bit weak, right? It's a little bit like, it's a little bit of like a passive trait. It's not that like, oh, confidence, certainty, quick, resourcefulness, find a MacGyver solution, whatever, it's much more subtle than that. And it's kind of a trait that sits back and watches. It's a trait that sits back and listens. And I think that's why a lot of people dismiss it and overlook it. But it's so super essential to a job search, to finding the right job for you, to landing that job, and then ultimately to doing a really good job when you're working in that role. And the reason is that it lets you really understand what the company needs, first of all. So what empathy is, for anyone who's like on the fence about the definition, it's the ability to see and experience something from another person's position, of like to experience another person's experience. And that ability lets you really, as I said, understand when you approach a certain company, and you've read some of their stuff and you've like researched them a little bit, and hopefully you've spoken to some people who work there, and using your empathetic listening skills, instead of thinking about what you want from them, you've been able to now understand what they want. What is their biggest struggle? What is their biggest, hairiest challenge right now? What is the owner of the company, big or small, what is keeping them up at night? Or your future boss, if it's like a huge company, your department head, or like your team, whatever it is, what is keeping them up at night? What matters to them? What hurts them day to day that your position might solve? What is their dream for their department, for their company, for their team? What do they want? You don't have access to any of those things when you don't have empathy. And knowing those things makes you like a super candidate, if you know then how to communicate that, which is it's a whole other thing. But if you don't know it, you can't communicate it, right? So this is like the most basic step, is being able to really know what it is that they want. And then you're able to look within yourself and think, okay, I know how to do that. I can solve that problem. How can I solve that problem? And, for a lot of you who are struggling to like get excited about certain positions because maybe you're afraid you won't be good enough, or maybe, you're not sure if it's interesting, you're not sure if it's the right fit for you, you have all these other things that you think you might want to be doing, then for the people who are struggling with that, empathy works wonders, because suddenly you're into solving the problem too. You're also interested, right? Because you're experiencing what they're experiencing. So suddenly you're also thinking about this problem and these aspirations and these dreams for the company or whatever. And you start thinking in your head, well, how can I do that? And you start getting excited about solving it and about doing it and about performing in your role. And when you get in that zone, then your whole process becomes, just flows much better. That bringing that, enthusiasm with you to an interview, to whether it's like a formal job interview or an informational interview, it's like that energy of like being truly, genuinely curious, of being a really great listener, and then of wanting to, getting on their side of the table and really feeling like you're part of their team already and you're trying to help them, or like you want to understand how you can help them. That puts you, that ranks you as a much higher level candidate. You're so much, you can stand up so much higher above the rest, who are only trying to figure out like, oh, how much do you guys pay? Oh, like, what is your work from home policy? Oh, like, those things are important. Don't get me wrong. But, like, those aren't the reasons that you should be interested in the company. Those are the reasons that, a company should be, that it should be a deal breaker, right? But it's like, there are many ways um, to make a living. Anyone who's in this only for the money is going to be sorely disappointed because it takes a lot of hard work. Being working in high tech and working in like pivotal roles, it's not like easy peasy, sit on your butt, do nothing all day, just get paid a fat paycheck. It's being in an important, meaningful role, which means you have an important, meaningful job to carry. And so that should be, the top thing that motivates you. Any customer facing role that you're going after, you will also, be much better at performing in that role if you've mastered this habit of empathy, because suddenly you're able to listen to a customer and you know exactly what their pains are. And you're not saying, oh, yeah, you don't, whatever, like, I don't care. You don't get defensive, now that you're representing the company and somebody, let's say, complains. You don't get defensive. Instead, you, again, get on their side of the table and try to solve the problem. And so you notice this theme of like being on the same side, getting on their side of the table, being on their team, the same team. People can feel that. People can feel when you're on their side. And, they like that better than when they feel that you're against them. And so, having empathy, having the ability to experience what someone else is experiencing without, not, discounting your own experience, but giving that space to someone else makes you a very desirable candidate, makes you really, really good at customer facing jobs. Also just facing internally, dealing with people, dealing with conflicts, dealing, getting people, persuading people to see, your side of a certain case that you're trying to make. It's much, much easier when they feel that you've validated what they're feeling, what they're thinking, what they're going through. And for those of you, I think most of you are moms here, right? It's a little bit like with children and toddlers, right? You validate their feelings, you validate their experience and what they're going through. And any of you that have experienced like truly validating what they're going through, not validating so they, yeah, whatever, like actually looking them in the eye and saying, oh, honey, I understand, and really truly understanding and having them know that you understand. You guys know, those of you who have done it know that it gets so much easier to convince them to do whatever it is that you were trying before the tantrum started, right? So it's the same with coworkers. It's the same with customers. It's the same with, adult humans. It makes you better at negotiating. It even makes your resume better because you suddenly like know what things have to be there. You know what they want. You know what kind of person they're looking for. You know what kind of cultural fit they value. And so you're able to convey that better, the language that you use and the experiences that you choose to highlight in your resume. And without empathy, you don't even get your foot through the door. You're like, you've lost on like ground zero when you don't have empathy, because it's like, why would anybody even let you in? You don't come from this world. You're at a major disadvantage. Excuse me, I'm still recovering from that cold. You're at a major disadvantage trying to come in from the outside already, so it seems, right? We know that you bring a lot of value, but they don't know that yet. So you have some amount of showing or like proving to do. And without empathy, you will not even be given the opportunity to prove that, whether it's your network that's going to decide like not to help you, whether it's the gatekeeper of the company that's going to decide, you know, you're only self-interested, and, you know, who even wants to help someone like you. And so that ability to get on the same side as the other person and to have them feel that you're on their side really goes a long way. And empathy does that for you. So don't reject your empathy. Don't forget about it as some feminine trait or some weak trait or some, you know, passive trait that, you know, we don't talk about so much, because it's really, really important. So foster it, develop it, practice it. Don't be ashamed of it. You know, don't be embarrassed. Remember, it's a superpower. And by the way, like all superpowers, it can also be used for evil. So when we use empathy for evil, that's called manipulation. We don't do that here. Okay? So you guys are good people. You guys are learning some important lessons here. Don't go out and use this to manipulate someone into thinking that you're on their side when you really aren't. You got to do this in a genuine way. All right. And I do have a really fun announcement. So I finally got all the tech stuff sorted out. And now it is actually going to be much, much, much easier for you guys to be able to get in touch with me. So you don't have to like private message me anymore. You can still do that if you want, but like it's going to be much easier for us to try to speak on the phone. So I made a booking page, like a calendar page, and I embedded it on my website. And so you guys can go there and just choose whatever time you want to you want us to speak. So I have like all the times they're open. I usually keep it open like 48 hours out, and then you can, you know, we'll get on a call and we'll talk about, you know, where you're at in your career right now, where it is that you really want to go, and also, you know, I'll help you figure out what kind of things you can go for with the skills and experiences that you have, and also what kind of salary level you can command with those skills and experiences. And then, you know, we can talk about how to, you know, what strategy or process to use to get that. But I think, you know, it's like it would be a really great way to get some more clarity around those things for you. And so I hope that you guys will do that. And I didn't even mention the link. So it's thisilresistible.com/apply. It's like a brand new site. So yeah, thisilresistible.com/apply. That's my booking page. And it will like autocomplete with the HTML URL and stuff. But I really hope you guys take advantage of this. Go over there, choose a time. It will also take you, like, after you choose a time, it will take you to like a very short questionnaire, just so I can get like basic information about you without having to do too much like detective/stalker work. And then so I can just better prepare for my call with you. So I hope to hear from you soon. I hope you guys will continue developing your awesome, empathetic souls. And I hope everyone here has a wonderful weekend. Feel free to comment with any questions that you have. You can always still private message me if you want. If you have any, you know, questions that you're not sure about asking in this public forum. And if you want me to cover anything else that you have questions about, or anything, you know, that you want to learn about, just Post it in the group, post it in the comments, send it to me, whatever it is. I want to make sure that this is like, this is hitting home and resonating with you guys, and this is what you need to hear. So that's it. Bye, guys.